It's almost,
I think it's done.
oh, we go anyway, even though it's not 3. Okay. I'd like to call the Board of Directors meeting for community transit for Thursday, March 2nd to order. This meeting is conducted in a hybrid format, both in person and remote, and is recorded and live streamed. Today's board meeting has 2 opportunities for public comment. The first, during a public hearing, we will take any comments related to the transit changes in 2024 and beyond. And once the public hearing closes, we will open the floor for general public comments. Will the clerk please call roll?
Councilmember Kim Daughtry,
Present.
Mayor Frizzell,
Present.
thank you. Mayor Marine,
Present.
thank you. Councilmember Mead, Mayor Nearing,
Here.
thank you. Labor Representative Norton,
Here, thank you.
thank you. Councilmember Peterson, Mayor Roberts,
I'm here, thank you.
thank you. Councilmember Schweddy,
Present.
thank you so much. We do have a quorum, Chair. I will quickly check to see who is here from our board alternates group. Councilmember Dunn. Councilmember Gallagher is in room. Councilmember Payne.
Present.
Thank you so much. And Mayor Thompson or Mayor Matsumoto Wright. Thank you, Chair. That concludes roll.
Okay, thank you. Our first item is the public hearing on transit changes in 2024 and beyond. We have one in person and one on Zoom. So if our in-person Joe Kinsler is here, you have 3 minutes. Yeah, okay.
Thank you, sir.
I don't see that.
Okay, time clock works. Gosh, this is an impressive kit.
Oh,
Joe Kunzler here. Today is for those who are diligent and determined to become destined to win. I'm grateful for this CT 24 and beyond route system, in particular Route 103 going down 84th Street Southeast to in Mukilteo for the future of flight, which will finally be connected to community transit properly at an at-grade bus stops on 84th Street Southwest. You see, my philosophy is more transit, more places, more often. And that's what brought me into transit advocacy. Not open government advocacy, not flirting, not Alex Zimmerman, in dealing with his intimidatory abuse of wonderful public servants like yourselves, that this open government squad has helped me stop. This agency's open government squad. Sorry about that. Not just big campaigns like merging Everett Transit with community transit and sound transit free passage. Just more transit, more places, more often. So I feel closer is near to my work in this space. And because I'm deeply grateful for Route 103, I think that that's very important that the #1 tourist attraction have an at-grade bus stop across the Strode, and that that way people can do things like you know, go watch the planes at Payne Field or go work on a deck and then come over here and say hi to some of my favorite people. You know who you are, and that's plural. You know, want to stress something also just because of some of the comments on the internets. I'm not advocating for the future flight to be connected for Boeing. I'm advocating for it because I need it for my work, and I don't want to name my outlet because I want to be professional about it with a minute left to go. But it sure would be nice to have a bus up to, you know, a facility where I could, you know, do some of my reporting work and things like that. I also used to volunteer at the Future of Flight. I'm also very grateful. I learned last night that Boeing is going to contribute an overpass if the Everett Link station is at Payne Field across from their factory. So I'm very grateful for the planning staff of this agency for listening and understanding that there are real needs out there and that there are real citizens who show up who care about public transit, who give a thumbs up to the drivers, and deeply appreciate what this agency has done. I have to say I rode Everett Transit. This is off topic a bit, but I'm going to use these 20 seconds wisely. I we came here on Everett Transit and once from Everett Station. And I have to tell you, their buses are so old that some of their buses are so old that frankly, they belong in a recycle bin. It's important we get this merger done. My time is running out. I want to be respectful of everyone I see. Councilmember Jared Mead's hands up. Thank you. You'll hear from me more later.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kunzel.
Okay.
We have one remote, Brock Hull, who is with Snow Track. If you would mute your microphone.
Great. I'm Brock Howell, Director of the Snohomish County Transportation Coalition, or SnowTrack. As a mobility management coalition, SnowTrack advocates for connecting people and communities in Snohomish County and beyond with safe, equitable, and accessible transportation by bringing together transportation and human service providers to identify mobility gaps and opportunities. SnowTrack focuses especially on the needs of people with disabilities, older adults, youth, low-income individuals, people of color, immigrants and refugees, veterans, tribal nations, and rural communities. And disclaimer, Community Transit is a partner and financial supporter of SnowTrack, and Roland Behe serves on our executive committee. So I'm not here to take a position for or against the 2024 plan, but to highlight what we've heard from community mobility surveys that we conducted last year. From 583 respondents, 58% of them said that service levels of transit were a barrier to being able to get around without a car, whether it's frequency, speed, destination availability, or connections. On the solution side, we heard overwhelming support for improving public transportation in Snohomish County. 73% of respondents prioritize establishing new local bus routes that go to more places, with 43% saying it should be a high priority. 65% prioritize increasing the frequency of fixed route transit service. 64% prioritize increasing commuter transit service, with 40% making it a high priority. 66% prioritize establishing new microtransit services, with 26 making a high priority. So I would say there's strong support that's in the case of very interested, but mostly curious. And so not necessarily high priority on that. 60% prioritize creating a new transit service that would take people to trailheads, similar to King County Metro's Trailhead Direct service. However, just 20% said it was a high priority for them. And finally, 23% of respondents said that safety concerns or the lack of amenities at bus stops were a barrier for them to use transit. With light rail arriving in Linwood in late 2024, the reprioritization of commuter bus routes to become a network of higher frequency routes that feed the light rail system makes a ton of sense. The planned growth of the Swift lines are also consistent with the high prioritization of increasing commuter transit service within the plan. The continued exploration of innovative transportation solutions such as microtransit also makes sense to pilot new ways of serving the PTBA residents. I'd also note that we saw a large portion of respondents who are disabled indicate that they were especially interested in expanding microtransit services. This also makes sense as the on-demand nature of microtransit provides people with disabilities with a mobility freedom that's equivalent to an able-bodied person being able to drive whenever they want. As a note of caution, many respondents complained about service reliability issues for DART service as well as fixed route. And so the driver shortage has had a big impact. And so we appreciate Community Transit prioritizing hiring of drivers and having service levels where you feel like you are confident that you'd be able to operate those routes. 40% of respondents said that they would like cross-county border connections for DART to be improved, making it easier for people with disabilities to access medical services in King County without transfers. So as Community Transit continues to expand its microtransit pilot programs, it makes sense to see how some of these innovations can be incorporated into the DART system. Finally, I encourage the agency to find opportunities to partner with nonprofit transportation providers to provide increased service both inside the PTBA where there's low ridership and outside of the PTBA. Nonprofit transportation providers can access grant funds that Community Transit is not eligible for, which may help justify CTs helping to support services in an expanded capacity. So with that, thank you so much for your extended time here. The 2024 plan, I think, makes a lot of logical sense from a transit planning perspective and closely aligns with what we've heard from the community.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Howe. If there's anyone else join us remotely, like to speak, please use the raise hand under the participants button. Do we have anyone? Okay, we received, pardon? Okay, we received over 100 written comments that have been received to date. These comments will be packaged and provided to the board prior to the April board meeting. The public hearing is now closed. We move to public comments. We have one written comment from Mr. Kunstler and routed to the board in advance of the meeting. And our first in person is Joe Kunstler again. Each speaker has 3 minutes to provide comments.
Sorry, no walk-up music. I apologize. It's gonna take a minute for me to get organized. Sorry. I don't know if this is gonna show up. Well, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make this work. I'm gonna hold this in my left hand. And then we're gonna get this iPad turned on with my notes, and then we're gonna get the clock started. And I apologize, everyone. I apologize, everyone. No, it's, oh, you sure? Yeah. Hi, everybody. You can start the timer now. I appreciate Deb holding the poster for me, because the plan was to hang these up for you guys. But in all my ineptitude, I didn't ask if I could hang posters up in here. So that's my fault. I want to begin with a former Representative Emily Wick's quotation. Nothing should prevent us from getting our voices heard or simply staying in the know about what is happening in our local government, because these conversations and those decisions, they affect and impact all of us. Indeed, and former Representative Wicks, who I nominated, won the Washington Coalition for Open Government Ballard Thompson Award with passing HB 1329 last year, which is the board and the board, let's just say the Open Government Squad knows was a major game changer in how we conduct public meetings. And so I felt, since Representative Wicks is getting an award, the least I can do is show up in person and say thank you to all of you. Not one of you, all of you. What you guys did in March 2020 under the guidance of a state proclamation, as you can see there, and I also had that as part of my comments, you made a pivot that saved all of our lives. You saved my life, you saved Rick's life, you saved the board's lives by getting us out of in-person meetings at a critical time. You literally did. And you deserve to be thanked for that. And I also know I requested things like videos of meetings and stuff before the pandemic, and I heard it was impossible, that they couldn't be done. And here we are. To those who says it couldn't, to those who said the community transit can't meet a challenge, I say, take a good look at the Open Government Squad. Those guys didn't take no for an answer when the lives of people are on the line, sort of like how when I needed help rebutting misinformed public agency attorneys on open government law and dealing with Alex Zimmerman, you guys crafted board rules that Sound Transit built on, and now I ship Sound Transits around the region. That's the kind of leadership we need. As Zelensky would say, so much of Puget Sound public transit depends on community transit. Your arm's getting tired? Okay. So much of community transit depends on the community transit open government squad. This writer feels the same about the maintenance guys in the middle of the night fixing up the buses and the facilities people too. Because I know without those groups of employees, we wouldn't have buses to operate and ride on. We needed you guys. We needed you when you were there. And I want to thank you profusely today and move forward. The posters I've given Deb to take care of are interpretive displays to give this agency and its employees a sense of geopolitical place. I know my time is running out, So I'm just going to ask that you share your excellence. 1, 2, to quote the Kim Campbell book, Flying in the Face of Fear, the sharing of lessons learned is part of the fighter pilot mindset, because we want to help make the team better. When we have the courage to be vulnerable and share our stories, both good and bad, even when they expose mistakes or weaknesses, our experiences can help make the team better, end quote. It's a heck of a book, but I'm running out of time. I have a housewarming gift to give this board. It is a beautiful sign. I don't know if you can see it, but it says basically, decisions are made by those who show up.
Okay.
So look up, get up, show up, never give up. It was one of those cheap home decor things. I just thought,
Okay.
we need to have in all boardrooms. Thank you for your service. Oops. You please hang that up. To me. Have that.
I didn't know that, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They don't, then you can say.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, we have one other in person. Shelley Swigert, are you here?
Good afternoon. My name is Shelley Schweigert, Snohomish County taxpayer, resident of Arlington, and a community transit employee, recently reinstated under the Governor Inslee's HELSA law. And I always say, stand up, look up, and never give up. And that's why I'm back here today, because I believe that as a growing community and a growing community transit, we can do better. And I'm here today to say, I've been to meetings, union meetings, 883, 1576, Snohomish County Council. I've asked, how do people feel about unvaccinated drivers coming back to work? Everybody's on board. It's amazing. So I'm just saying today that I support Rick Ilger-Fritz resending the vaccine. Thank you so much. I know that your team is working on that. I did sign a piece of paper saying that I will be terminated on May 11th when, President Biden's emergency ends, because that's when HELSA ends. So if you resend the vaccine policy, I can stay aboard, which is my goal, right? I've been here a long time, 2 million mile safe driver, and I want to continue to serve my my community. And so I just want to say thank you, and that's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Swigert. Okay, we have one person on Zoom, Jeff Abrams, if you would unmute.
Is that unmuted?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name's Jeff Abrams. I'm a blind transit rider with a guide dog. I'm also a member of the Sound Transit Citizens Accessibility Advisory Council. And one of the members of our council, Alan Bonet, asked members to test the CT trip planner site recently for accessibility. And I just wanted to give a little report on that from our blind person perspective, visually impaired perspective. We found the site not very accessible at all. I'm not sure if it meets 508 compliance. When I used it, I never could book a trip. I couldn't find a trip button. There were a variety of other accessibility issues. I'm not sure if you did usability studies. What I could offer is that as a blind person, I use a PC. I tend not to use mobile phones, and most of my compatriots don't either, because in stressful, noisy conditions, it's just hard. We do our trip planning at home via PC. And so I was using browsers, both the Chrome and Edge browsers, and using JAWS as my screen reader software. And JAWS has an interesting feature where you can capture a log of everything that it says during a particular transaction. So if you'd like, I could send that log to somebody to analyze, and so you could see how inaccessible the site really is. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abrams. Is there anyone else online that wishes to make comment? Okay, that will be the last of our comment sections. And now we are down to the fun part with presentations. That's you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a new reference, Madam Chair, as we shift gears with a new chair to Councilmember Jan Schweddy. Welcome. We're delighted to have you in this leadership role. And it also means it's time to recognize our outgoing chair, Mayor Joe Marine of the great city of Mukilteo. But before we do that, I have one really important question to ask the board on Mayor Marine's behalf, and it is this. Why did the Scarecrow win an award?
The Scarecrow?
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Oh.
Very good.
All joking aside, Mayor,
Don't quit your day job.
I had help with that. So on a more serious note, Mayor Marine has been a true leader. I think we can all agree. This has not been his first tour of duty at community transit. He's been active in public life and an active transit supporter for many years. You may recall from 2008 to 2013, he was an officer of the board, served as chair in 2012 and 2013, was also a Sound Transit Board member and a Puget Sound Regional Council rep. And clearly he didn't get enough because he came back. Yeah, he missed us. So he joined the board as an alternate in 2020, came back on as an officer in 2021, and then chair in 2022. And oh, what a journey it's been. Couple of highlights I want to share with the board because 2022 was really such a remarkable work year. It was memorable, it was challenging, and it's on reflection, pretty amazing how much we got done on your watch. Just a few examples. We launched the Swift Orange line. I think everybody will recall that great event to start the year last year. We opened this building and had a great open house to celebrate employees coming back to work from the pandemic. We returned to hybrid board meetings in this space and put this room to use. We launched the innovative service project ZIP in the city of Linwood. We acquired the property and began construction of our new training and storage facility across the street. One of my favorite parts of these board meetings is being able to sit here and watch the work going on across the street. We were just talking about it a minute ago. We advanced the long range plan. We advanced our 2024 and beyond network to the point where it's just about ready for action. And we advanced further than it's ever gone. Discussions with the city of Everett about consolidating our two service territories. So that when you think about it as a body of work is legacy stuff and would not have been possible without your steady hand at the helm. So I appreciate your friendship, your leadership, your willingness to think out loud, talk about hard problems, work with me and the staff to figure out the path forward. And we're going to miss your leadership. So in appreciation and to commemorate all that good work, we put together a little something.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, very nice. Thank you.
So on behalf of the staff and the board, we
Oh, that's
present this to you and with great thanks and good luck for the
Thank you.
days
Thank you
ahead.
very much. I forget this. Thank you. All right. Oh, yeah. Could you squat down just a little?
There's always got to be a picture. Anyway, so well, I'm not running the meeting. It's probably okay for you to say a few words in your defense.
I checked with the chair. Is that okay?
Oh, go.
Well, thank you, Rick. Yeah, and I just, sometimes it's being in the right place at the right time. All of that stuff was going to happen. You such a great staff here. And there is a fair amount of truth to the fact I did miss community transit and not being in public office. And so when I got back in, it was easier for me to try to get back into community transit. And even if that meant being an alternate, I know that, and thank you very much for coming. It's great to see alternates in the room coming, being prepared, ready to be seated at any moment. And I do want to thank Mr. Kunzler as well for being dedicated and continuing to show up, even if it's on Zoom, and kind of kind of always being there and that supporter of transit, and it took you quite a while on the getting to community transit and the stops there at the Future of Flight, but I also want to thank community transit for not just Mukilteo, of course, but I think I've always thought that community transit, right, is about community. So I love the fact that we're getting away from commuter and going back into community and getting much more routes in the communities where people need that. And so I'm just glad to be a part of it. And I thank you for letting me do that. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, at least you're not leaving.
No, I'm not going. No, I don't think so. Nobody's told me that.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll get it down eventually. Next item is Chief Executive Officer's report.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Mayor Marine. Looking forward to the year ahead as well. And I was listening to your remarks and looking across at Labor Representative Norton, and I realized I was remiss in not mentioning as well of all the things that we accomplished last year under your leadership. We also consummated 3 new collective bargaining agreements and or new contracts. So add that to the list of hardware. Anyway, so thank you. Before I jump in, I want to note for the board, I caught Mr. Abrams' comments, and we'll follow up with him. And Mr. Abrams, if you're still there, you can send to the executive email your materials, and we can make sure they get routed to the right place, and we'll follow up. Obviously, accessibility is critically important. So I want to start my report with a brief touch on the 2024 network. We had the public hearing today, thinking ahead to next steps. Roland and the team, Chris, will be preparing a report on the public comments we've received to date and the responses to them, and we'll be bringing forward for review by the Strategic Alignment and Capital Development Committee a summary of those and recommendation on taking action on the 2024 and beyond service plan at their meeting this month. So assuming that goes forward as planned, the committee will decide whether to forward that to the board at its meeting for consideration on April 6th. So very exciting. In the meantime, staff and I are engaged on a weekly basis with our transit partners and WashDOT on this topic as well, working to develop a coordinated approach to launching Linwood Link operations, implementing our network changes, and scheduling work on the Revive I-5 project, hopefully in a mutually workable timeline. We are making progress. There's a lot of work that remains to be done to get to clarity and agreement on an integrated timeline. But as I've reported in past meetings, those conversations continue constructively and hopefully will bear fruit as we move toward April. Just touch on a couple other regional activities and engagement issues. Mark and his team, Jim Williams, Thomas Gilbert and I took a ride on the Swift Blue Line last week to check in on things out there at night. We saw some good things and we saw some reasons for concern. Things have settled down at the airport road station, but they have moved elsewhere to the casino road station. So we still are seeing some troubling activities out there that really do speak up the need to get our transit security officers deployed as quickly as we can. We're making a lot of progress on that, and I'll touch on that in a minute. I do want to speak about the staff that night. Transit police unit responded to 2 incidents swiftly and effectively. Our Swift coach operator did an outstanding job navigating a sticky situation at Casino Road. And Thomas was stepped out of his role as host of our ride to engage with customers and employees and first responders to address the situation that was occurring that we saw. And it was really remarkable to see how the training kicked in and how quickly our teams responded to a tough situation to keep our service moving and keep our passengers safe, and to help some folks who needed some help at that station at that time. So kudos to the team and the leadership in operations. Also out and about, I joined Snohomish County, the city of Everett, and Sound Transit executives on a tour of the Everett Link alignment last Friday. So we drove the length of the alignment from Everett Station down to Linwood Transit Center and got out at a few key places and toured on foot station locations that are under consideration by the Sound Transit Board. Had an opportunity to share views and talk about the transit integration that we're working toward together. So that was heartening, and it was informing Sound Transit's effort to define a locally preferred alternative for the Everett Link project. We are providing a lot of information to Sound Transit to inform their work, and again, satisfied that the level of collaboration there is quite high. Mayor Frizzell's Community Development Director, David Kleitch, and his team were there, and we had a great walk around the Alderwood West station area and saw all the amazing changes that are taking place there. And you could say the same thing about every station location up and down the line. Change is coming, and it's going to be significant. It's the season, as you all know, for city and agency annual addresses. I had a chance to listen to the State of WashDOT address by Secretary Millar at the Transportation Demand Management Executive Board meeting last week. Also had a chance to attend Mayor Naring's State of Marysville event at Tulalip. Also Mayor Marine's State of Mukilteo event, and tomorrow morning the chair and I will be at Linwood listening to Mayor Frizzell present on her city's behalf. Lots of legislative activity underway. The WISTA board held its first quarter meeting in Olympia on the 13th and 14th of last month. We had an opportunity to get together with our peers, make some visits to our legislators in their offices, which was a first in 3 years and quite fun, and update them on our progress with the SWIFT program and our 2024 planning. Senator Elias held a work session on workforce development, and we were invited to testify and talk about the challenges of recruiting in our industry and other industries, and some things the state could consider to help us out. So that was a very productive visit to Olympia. We also hosted on site last week our federal lobbyist, Peter Pizer. He had an opportunity to meet with the finance, operations, and planning staffs. He had a chance to get out and tour the Gold Line. And spend some time working with staff. And the goal there is to think through and develop a strategy for grants to support our ongoing delivery of the SWIFT network and also our zero emission study process. So that was productive as well. Transit coordination work with City of Everett continues. We meet next at the first week of April. Staff are working on development of the integrated network and some options to inform governance of a consolidated agency. So we will keep you posted there. Operations activity, good news. The snow did not affect operations. Happy to report that. We went into code yellow for about 5 days and stayed there. Never had the need to go to code red. So the maintenance staff is very happy about that, as are the customers. I mentioned safety and security. Don and Jacob and their team have hired 4 transit security officers. All have substantive security experience. We also hired Barb Taylor, former Snohomish County deputy, a part of our transit police detail for many years, to come in and help lead that group and oversee training, which is a huge hire for us. And we're delighted to have Barb here helping set up that group. So we'll be deploying folks and reporting in more detail about that to the Finance Committee in the next month. Ashway Park and Ride COVID site is closing on the 10th due to decreased patient volume. And that's very good news indeed. That site has been stood up for 2.5 years. It has tested 34,000 patients and administered a number of vaccines and provided lots of information to communities and folks struggling with COVID and the risk of COVID. So that's another milestone in the pandemic's arc. I have some breaking news. Staff on the marketing and communications groups were down at the APTA marketing conference this week in Las Vegas. And we learned that as with last year, we are being recognized with 3 2023 AdWheel Awards. Which is great news indeed. The awards are being received for our video series supporting mechanic recruitment, our Swift Orange Line groundbreaking event as a special event, and our blog series in support of the Van Gogh Surplus Vehicle Grant Program. So congratulations to Jennifer and everybody at her team who worked on that stuff, Mark Tucci and his team, the creative folks. Those will be recognized and presented at the APTA conference this year as last year. So that'll be a fun event. Believe it or not, you might not know this, but March in the public sector is procurement month. And we have some great news to share there as well. Our procurement team received a prestigious national award. Again, the Institute of Public Procurement reaccredited us with its Quality Public Procurement Department recognition. There are very few public agencies with this distinguished award, and ours is the only in Washington State and only the second transit agency in the nation to receive this recognition. So congratulations to the staff, Anju, Kunjin, Stacy, everybody who works in the procurement group for that. That is fantastic news. I want to conclude on a serious note. We've heard a lot over the last year and a half, 3 years really, about COVID-19. And I've been talking with the board for a couple of months now about when would be the time to review our policies and our COVID response. You'll recall that last fall, I signaled that we were going to hold the line and through the winter months and see whether there was a spike in cases or an increase in risk. And I'm pleased to report that we have not seen that. In fact, we've seen the opposite. COVID community spread went down to low in terms of public health risk in December. It has stayed there ever since. We've had a steady decrease in cases here at the agency. So on February 6th, I asked Mark and Cesar and their teams to do a review of our COVID response, assess the risks out in the community, consult with experts, and make recommendations about any appropriate changes that may be timely to consider, and they have done that work. They've spent the last couple of weeks reviewing trends in COVID transmission, COVID spread in the community and in the region and at the state level. They've consulted with the public health district, with the state. They've looked at all manner of data on risk metrics and our case history. They've talked to our peer agencies, and they've come up with a few conclusions and recommendations. The chief conclusion is, given the relatively low risk of spread at this time, the prevalence of treatments, that it is appropriate to consider changing our COVID response and our policy framework. So they've recommended a series of changes, including that it is safe now to remove our vaccine requirement, that there are other practices that we can loosen up a little bit with respect to distancing and PPE. We also got some recommendations on things not to change, remaining vigilant, for example, about our health screening practices, our recovery protocols, isolation protocols, vehicle sanitation, providing masks, hand sanitizer on site, masks on buses, and what have you, for employees and customers. We also will continue our compliance with public health orders. We have a number of reporting requirements and other orders that are in place through L&I regulation and OSHA regulation, so we'll continue to observe those, obviously. So based on what was presented to me and discussed with our executive team over the last couple of weeks, I've decided that effective next week, we'll put those policy changes in place. That is March 6th, 2023. So this is a big change, obviously, and it's a big deal. It's been 3 long years in the COVID-19 pandemic, and I think we should all be grateful that our institution stepped up and gave us the tools to fight it and beat it back. And we've been successful at that, and that is a good thing. So our next steps will be to work with employees, managers, provide FAQs to help folks navigate any questions and current concerns they may have about this. We have memoranda of agreements with our unions that are in effect that anticipated this might happen. And those provisions of the memoranda will now kick into effect. So we have an opportunity to bring folks back and we'll work through those issues as they arise. I've said a number of times, I don't expect there to be a huge number of such folks, but there are a few, as you've heard, and we will welcome them back. So that concludes my CEO report, Madam Chair. I know it was a long one, so I waited till Mayor Marine was no longer chair and just unfortunate.
Thank you. So does anyone have any questions, guys?
Thank you.
Okay, I do. I'm sorry. I know I asked way too many questions. When you were talking to Senator Leas, did he happen, and he was working, talking about the workforce training, did he happen to mention the new one in North Snohomish County? I mean, because I'm looking for money to build it, and I just want to make sure.
He is,
knows.
yeah, he mentioned that in a private conversation
Okay.
beforehand. He is looking for ideas and opportunities to strengthen the state role in supporting apprenticeships and workforce development at the community college level and potentially at the secondary education level. So the main purpose of the work session week before last was to gather information and ideas. So I suspect it means working on legislation, maybe next session. So information gathering for the most part. And I know he's aware of the situation here, what we have going on and what some of the holes in our game are. I pointed out that for our diesel mechanics, for example, there is no diesel mechanic apprenticeship program in Snohomish County right now at any institution. We have to go to Skagit County or down to King County. So he definitely wrote that one down. So we'll see where it goes from here, but it was a good session.
Okay, good. I email him all the time. Okay, we're down to committee reports, and the executive committee is the first one. We met on Thursday, February the 16th. Councilmember Merrill, Councilmember Daughtry, and I attended. The CEO report shared earlier in the meeting was provided. The next executive committee meeting is scheduled for March 16th at 11:30. So then we go to Mayor Roberts for finance, performance, and oversight.
Thank you. I started to call you Jan. Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. The Finance, Performance and Oversight Committee met on Thursday, February 16th, 2023 via Zoom. Board members Jared, Mead, and I attended. Consent items. Number one, approval of January 2023 monthly expenditures and payroll will be items 8C through G on the agenda. Action items. The committee reviewed and recommended 2 action items for the board's consideration today. Number one, award RFP number 2022-134 transit advertising sales program, and 2, award RFP 2023-007 recruitment, marketing, and media placement. Reports. Number one, we had January 2023 sales tax report. In January 2023, Community Transit collected approximately $16.5 million in sales tax revenue, approximately $800,000 more than budgeted. January 2023 sales tax collections reflected purchases made in November 2022. A copy of the report is included in the packet. Number 2, January 2023 diesel fuel update and report. The average cost per gallon in January 2023 is $3.84 per gallon, while the average cost per gallon budgeted for 2023 is $4.25. This results in a favorable variance of 41 cents per gallon for the month of January. The next Finance, Performance, and Oversight Committee meeting is scheduled for 2 p.m. Thursday, March 16, 2023 via Zoom.
Okay, thank you, Sid. Can I get a motion for the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We are now down to action items, award of RFP 2022-134. Jennifer Jetter.
Now, can you hear me? Excellent. Hello. So I have 2 items for you fine folks today. 2 RFPs that I'm happy to highlight some of the work that we're doing and the programs that we have. Kind of a common theme between these two is that these are really about management of existing programs and things that we already have in the budget that we are getting vendor support for. So I'll start out with this one. I'll start out with the recruitment, marketing, and media placement one. And so I'll get to tell you a little bit about recruitment marketing. And excellent. I'll talk a little bit about the overview and background of the work that we've been doing in recruitment marketing, and then talk about the RFP. So the thing that we have our eye on is really about agency growth, the plan that we have for increasing service hours, our plans for 2024 and beyond, knowing that all of this growth really is going to need more employees. So from our point of view in marketing, for recruitment marketing, we know that this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. So we want to set up an environment where this is sustainable and where we can really respond to what's happening in the market and get the people we need to do the work we need to do. So to talk a little bit about what we're doing right now, we know that this is a really challenging job market and has been one for a while, kind of unprecedented challenges. So the stuff that we've been doing is really promoting that $5,000 new hire sign-on bonus. Thank you very much. It's great as an attention getter to kind of get people to even look at our job, get interested, come learn more, find out about all the benefits of working here. We've also had to really kind of broaden our advertising tactics. Part of the key thing here is when we hire coach operators, most of them are not professional drivers, right? They are coming from other industries. They're coming from customer service, they're former military, retired construction, all sorts of things where they're not looking for us, we're looking for them. So we have to get out in front of them. So really looking at having advertising out there that kind of draws people in to take a look at our jobs. As part of that, kind of expanding our target audiences, expanding the geography a little bit, edging out a little bit outside of Snohomish County to get more candidates in, and also doing more storytelling. So really trying to, everybody says great benefits, like how can we talk more about what it really means, those tangible things that will make a difference in people's lives when they come to work here. And also looking at how do we look out at job boards and where people are searching for jobs, what is our presence? Are we giving a really rich and professional presence to them that makes them want to come work here? So now talking about what we need help with. So really what a media planning and buying agency does for us is expand our expertise and expand our capabilities. I'm really proud of the work that my group has been doing in recruitment marketing, but it is like a very specific type of thing, where you need to be, the kind of restrictions you have, how you target people. We've done amazing work to kind of learn on the fly and get better and better at this, but really, we're ready to up level, to have, partners that have a deeper bench than we do and more expertise and more buying power in the market. So really what that having this vendor partner lets us do, extend our team, give us some flexibility to flex up and down as we need to, as things are changing in the market. They can also manage all those relationships. They can talk to the salespeople, they can do all the placements, they can get all the reports and aggregate them for us, and then come back with recommendations. How do we improve? How do we always get more and more efficient with our dollars? So we like to try before we buy. So we began this approach in November of 2022, just to see how this would work in practice and what our relationship would be like with a partner. So looking at 2022, a lot of what we talk about in marketing is momentum. You have to get out there. People have to see your things 10 times before they'll act. And you want to be building that momentum in the marketplace. And so that's really what we were doing in 2022, taking a look and saying, we need more. How do we get out there more? And looking at how we increased our tactics, and then we started getting more and more applications. We went from 112 in April, and then up to, on our own, on our own team up to nearly 400. Then we brought in the outside agency in November, and something interesting happened. We thought we would see a little bit of a dip for the holidays. People don't make big life decisions during that time so much, but we didn't. We climbed up. Then in December, seeing the same kind of climb, and then after Christmas, it just took off. We received 628 applications in December, which was a big surprise. And then in January, 942, which was just incredible. So, really 8 times the number of applications we were getting at kind of our lowest point in 2022. And it's kind of a perfect happy storm of having that momentum out in the market, having a natural bump that we would see because of seasonality, and then having a partner who could really help us improve what we were doing and fine tune our approach and bring new ideas in. So now we want to keep doing that. So what we're looking to do, we want to do a multi-year agreement because we want to be able to have a trusted partner that we can use through this period where we're going to be doing a lot of growing. That would give us a dedicated resource for doing this recruitment advertising. Also, we want to do it with other jobs. We want to do it with journey mechanics as well, which we just started testing, but this would give us the ability to do it as we needed to. And there might be other recruitments that would benefit from this as well, where, frontline positions where we need to get it out in front of more people and get more applications. So this isn't an ask for additional funds. The idea is that each year we are budgeting based off of what do we think we need, what's the job market doing, having that approved through our normal process, and then this partner would help us manage it. We did give them estimates kind of based off of what we're doing and what we could be doing in the future, mainly to help us find the right partner and scope out the project overall. But this RFP does not guarantee any of that spend. We maintain control over that. So we went through a competitive RFP process. We got 6 proposals back, groups with a variety of abilities. And the evaluation committee, which included marketing strategy, creative services, employee engagement, and procurement, landed on Univox affiliated media. The real differences for us, just their capabilities, their qualification, and that real expertise in recruitment marketing, doing things very similar to what we've been doing and having real success in that space. Also the examples of their work and the client feedback and references, and the pricing was in line with what we were looking for. So all around, it was it seemed to be a good fit. All right, do I have questions?
I have one
Oh,
question.
Yeah,
One question. You want to do this with Univox affiliate media. Is this the same outfit that you worked with in November?
it is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay,
You want a motion?
pardon?
You want a motion?
Yes, please.
All right.
Let's have a motion for
I
that.
move that the board authorize the chief executive officer to negotiate and award the recruitment, marketing, and media placement contract to Univox affiliated media for an amount not to exceed 1.5 million per year for the initial 3-year agreement and for each of the 3 additional 1-year options to extend.
Okay,
Second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay. Okay, next item is the RFP 2022-134.
It's me again. All right, so this one is talking about our transit advertising sales program. So let's talk about revenue coming in. So I'm going to give a little overview and background and then talk about the RFP. So just a level set. So our transit advertising sales program is where we provide advertising space on our buses in order for businesses and organizations in the community to advertise with us. So what we look for here is a partner that will help us manage this program. And we kind of set the parameters for the program itself, and then they take it from there. So they do the sales functions of soliciting sales. They do all the invoicing and the billing. They help with the, they work with the advertiser on the artwork. They get it installed on our buses. They get it scheduled, what goes on what buses. They take it all off at the end, and they provide reporting on that activity back to us. I will just say that part of this program, a little color commentary from me, is that one of the questions we actually got through this RFP was how many of the advertisers are local versus national? And the vast majority are local. They are local businesses, they're local service providers. The PUD and the Y examples you see here are great examples of that. These are just happen to be the last two that I received. And I'll say that before I worked for you, I advertised on community transit buses, and it's just a great way for businesses to find their customers, and for service providers to get out the word about their programs. And so I don't think we talk about it a lot, but this is like a nice resource for the community to help them find their audience and grow their business. All right, so our current contract is with Lamar. So this last contract began in March of 2018. It was a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extensions, which went through the end of February. In that, the way it works with these is it's a revenue share. So, you know, we provide the advertising, they do the work, and we split the revenue between us. As a part of the contracts, we also have a minimum annual guarantee. So they pay us ahead, and then they work the sales to get that back. And then anything above that, we split as a part of the revenue share. So the current contract has a 55% where we get 55%. And then there's the minimum annual agreements guarantees increase throughout the contract. So with the end of the current contract, we went out for a competitive RFP. We had some real interest. We got at least 3 organizations that came back with a lot of clarifying questions. We got 2 requests to extend the time to give responses because they wanted to learn more about our market. In the end, we did get 1 proposal back from the incumbent, Lamar Transportation. But they came back with actually more favorable revenue split. So this is actually an improvement on our previous contract. So moving from 55% share to now a 60% share. And you can see that those minimum annual guarantee numbers are bigger and are increasing as well.
There you go.
Any questions on this one?
Yeah, I do have a question. Does Lamar, or has Lamar in the past been able to give their customers that are putting their advertising on our bucket, can they give them an ROI on their advertising dollars?
They do. Yeah, they talk about like the number of impressions, like often in advertising, that's what we're talking about, like how many estimates of how many eyeballs you can get out in front of. And so they have that based off of the routes that we have out there, the number of trips and the number of buses out. So they work with the advertisers on that, providing what the return would be for that.
So are they also looking at what we're planning on in the future 5 years?
Yes, that was definitely some of the questions that we got, especially with the changes of our service, not going down to Seattle. That was definitely one of the questions, was how things would be changing during that period.
Thank you.
Yes, Tom, you had a question.
Well, I did, but I think my question was based on a faulty assumption, which was when I read through this first time, I was wondering how 55% and 3-day $380,000 was more favorable terms, but I have to flip that. That's what we get.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, go ahead.
So I'm just curious, is there, when you talk local, if you have a local advertiser, do they have any control over which buses, for example? Can you keep them in a particular region, or if you advertise, they're just going to be out there somewhere in community transit's
That's a good question.
field?
Well, we provide advertising on our local service and our commuter service. And so they can specify that because they come out of different bases. But like, we can't guarantee that like where this bus is going to go because we maintain the flexibility. Buses can go on different routes. So that's more where the split is they can specify for commuter service versus local service.
Right, yeah, but you're not gonna get like a business in Arlington who wants to be on the buses running around Arlington, because then they don't care if the bus is in Mukilteo so much, right? But, okay.
Yes.
All right, that would be nice if you could really narrow it down. You'd get probably a lot more smaller businesses wanting
Yes,
to
we would
be on
have to
those buses.
promise where the bus is going. I'm not sure we want to do
How
that
to do that, yeah.
operationally.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I had another one. Are there provisions in this contract anywhere, or is there a process for public service messages or nonprofits to get space on a bus?
I believe they do have like a different set of pricing for those. So if it's we don't have in place where like we give out a certain amount, but they do have a different set of pricing based off if they're like 501c or whatever the qualifications for, they can qualify for a different set of pricing that's discounted.
Oh, okay, you see that. Okay. Thank you. I didn't look up there. Okay, Mayor Frisell.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit confused as to who and how are projected revenues calculated.
Yeah, so so they come back with like those minimum annual guarantees. They are coming back with a proposal on what those would be, and it's based off historical. So as a part of the RFP, we provide all the historical revenue that's come in, and so they are kind of they're projecting it based off of that.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I have one, and I apologize because I should know the answer to this.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there are guidelines on what can be advertised and what photos and stuff can be on them. What about politics or a school levy or things like that? I mean, we're coming up to 2024. Are we going to see?
You will not, because we have an acceptable advertising policy, and it lists out a lot of things that we kind of, straight out say no, that you can't do these things. And political is one of them. Anything that is like controversial, anything that promotes like alcohol or drug use or firearms or anything like that. So there's a list of them, and they can't do anything that would be hate speech or anything like that. So there is like an acceptable use one. And then there's also like, we reserve the right to say no to anything, and not even necessarily no. We can also say that maybe not this, maybe say it in a different way. Like, it's not that you can't advertise with us, but this particular ad doesn't fit with, we don't want it associated with us in the way that it's presented. So we have options for that. And we see everything before it goes up on the buses.
Okay, good. I figured somebody must have been doing that, but yeah, but with everyone on free speech now, I was just a little concerned.
Yeah, and it was a part of the RFP, and Lamar has that policy, and they're actually the ones that we can go back and say, go back, this doesn't fit the policy, or see if there's another way to do it. So they're our partner for that.
Great. Okay, could I get a motion for?
You can. I just going to comment. It reminded me of a number of years ago. We had, I think it was anti-smoking. I don't know, but some like eating a rat or something in blood. It was. Does anybody remember that ad that was on the bus? Oh,
that would be
very
before my
disturbing.
time.
Yeah, it was very disturbing to come up on the bus, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah, but we're still blaming you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll
No,
never
it was-
come back again.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Ellen remembers as well. So, but I will move the board of directors authorize the chief executive officer to negotiate and award a revenue contract for transit advertising sales program to Lamar Transportation LLC with projected revenue in the amount of $2,750,000 over a 5-year term.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we are down to the chair's report. Is that right? I've got so many pages up here. Sorry, guys. So I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to serve as the 2023 board chair. I would like to thank Mayor Roberts for chairing the Finance, Performance and Oversight Committee.
We miss you, Jan.
Pardon?
We miss you.
Oh. I miss reading all that stuff. And Councilmember Merrill for chairing the Strategic Alignment and Capital Development Committee. Thank you. Appreciate that. I just have one thing to say. My top priority is the safety of our coach operators and our customers. Snohomish County with King County has the highest drug sales in our state. And in Snohomish County, we have the highest death rate from overdoses. And when Community Transit came out with their safety program, I can't tell you what a relief that was to me, because everybody isn't doing that. And we are focusing on what it's going to take so that anyone can ride the bus and feel comfortable. I know that Rick has been going out with other people on the staff trying to focus down on where to have people. And one of the things that we passed today, hopefully will allow us to be able to hire the extra security a little faster than normal. So I appreciate that. And I've talked to a lot of people and we are way, way ahead. And I just am so glad that we're concentrating on that, because we read it every day in the paper. And especially if you're elected officials, you hear it more than just the paper. So anyway, oh, board communication. Okay, I was going to go down the list. Okay, I'm going to start with John down there, Mayor Nearing. Do you have anything?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations, and appreciate your leadership. Looking forward to that. I want to thank Mayor Marine for his year of distinguished service. Thank you, Rick, for coming to the State of the City last week. I do appreciate that, and that support, and other members of your staff were at another one I held. So it's nice to see Community Transit come out and do that and support board members in that endeavor. I did want to spend just a quick moment in being on this board for 13 years or so. The award that you mentioned, the what is it, the Institute of Public Procurement, Quality Public Procurement Award, is that what it's called? Yeah. That award is appears to be extremely prestigious, and I just think over the years that I've been here, Community Transit staff earns an inordinate amount of recognition and awards for these kind of things. I've spent a lot of time on the finance committee, and the different individuals on the staff that have managed the financial operations of Community Transit have distinguished themselves with a number of years of clean audits and other financial awards. So that's one I'm particularly understand, but there's been several others that have been presented to this board over the years. And sometimes I know that those things just kind of roll off in a report and they all string together and we go, oh, that's nice. But I do think it's commendable. And I think as board members, we're all grateful to be a part of an organization that that manages the resources so effectively and earns distinguishment, you know, statewide and nationwide. So I just wanted to spend a moment on that and appreciate the hard work that it takes to do that. Those things aren't easy to accomplish. And so thank you.
If I could jump to Mayor Fritzell, so I don't forget you up there. I keep forgetting to look up.
Sorry, I can't join you folks today. It's been a busy week here, but I just appreciate the quality of the work that this organization continues to bring to our community. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kim Daughtry.
Yeah, I got a couple things. One of the things is that to get on the shirt tail of my esteemed colleague to the left, it's in spite of what the board does that you guys come up with those awards. That's a little bit of an extra push there. And then I'm going to take just a few minutes to allow you to feel the pain that I felt for the last 6 months on the Transportation Policy Board's FTA funding working group. We are done. 6 months of getting deeply into FTA. And the first thing I'm going to do before I forget is to thank Melissa Colley for her help on that, because without her, I think I would have really flubbed it up. Or maybe even stronger language than that. So I am going to be brief though. What we met on was there was another transit agency in our state that decided that they wanted to change the FTA funding formula plan because this is out to the public, isn't it? Because they saw a need that they could not fulfill on their own. So they tried to basically bully their way into changing the FTA formulas. And I have never in my life had a headache before. I didn't know what that was until I looked at the FTA formula. And it took me 2 weeks to go through the spreadsheets and try to figure out where all that money goes and what the formulas mean and all that kind of stuff. And that gave me a headache. First time in my life. So I'm not going to do that to you. I'm just going to tell you what we did. We went through all of that with a whole raft of people through all the transit agencies. And what we came up with was at the end of it last week, we came up with 2 different alternatives. One was to go and change the FTA formula from 86 to 86 and 14, and the 14% is it was drafted for 7% of a regional competition. The 86% just was directly to us anyway. That was our portion of the FTA formulas, and then 7% for preservation. What we ended up doing was fighting over whether we wanted to make that formula 76% and 24% going to equity. The entire argument on the other side was trying to get more funds to go to an equity lens type planning scheme so they could get more money for equity. And I don't disagree with that. That wasn't the point. The real point came out with, I had 2 things that I came up with that I told them. First off, historical use of the FTA funds is in our planning for the future. And to change that FTA formula would damage the plans we've already done on our long range plan. And I wasn't the only one that said that. King County Metro said the same thing. Sound Transit said the same thing, and others said the same thing. Then the other thing I said was, we keep trying to focus this on equity funds to try to do just equity type projects. And the fact of the matter is that most of us are already doing that in our planning. And there is no reason to actually shift the other parts of our FTA funding to that because we're already doing it. And that resonated with most of the people on the committee. So instead of going from the 76 to 76.24, we went with the 86.14. It ended up actually getting us more money in the long run. In the equity formula distribution, we actually ended up getting 15% more money than we would have in the normal distribution. Pierce County also got more. Just about everybody got more, actually. Now, the other thing that I have to say is that there was a couple of different entities out there, transit entities, that this would have hurt. And what we finally ended up doing 2 weeks ago was taking them out of the complete discussion and made them whole no matter what. One of those is 2 ferry systems, basically. Because of the way the FTA formulas are structured, they would have lost out big time and they could not afford that. So we recognized that and basically took them out of the discussion, took them out of the formula and just said, we're making you whole and just stay right where you're at. And they actually ended up making more money also with the equity formula. So everything, I think everybody wins. The couple of people that were opposed to what we actually drafted, they feel that's not a win, but I felt that we did a lot of good work and we actually came out ahead on the whole thing. The next step is this goes back to the Puget Sound Regional Transportation Policy Board this week, I believe, and then it goes on to the Executive Committee for the PSRC to make this into basically the rules that we use for the FTA funding going forward. So that's my spiel on what I just went through for 6 months. And again, thanks to Melissa Colley.
Yeah, and thank you, Kim. That was, yeah, I know. I spent several years as we were building to that discussion, so I know how difficult it was. And I appreciate your time and Melissa's. So Sid.
Now I have a headache.
Yeah.
Kim, so trying to follow all that. Really grateful to get past the vaccination mandate. It's been a hard slug for board members to meeting after meeting after hearing about that, and I'm just really grateful to move past that. And thank you to Rick and the staff for addressing that now, and wish more drivers could come back, and hopefully that they can do that soon. As on a personal note, Saturday is my wife and I's 40th wedding anniversary, and oh no, clap for her. That she put up. She's put up with me for 40 years, and that's pretty amazing. And we're going to try to get away, but before we do, I couldn't leave town without driving back to the old stomping grounds to Linwood to go to the State of the City address tomorrow. So we'll be there. I would like to have a seat on the front row if you don't mind. So anyway, so just love serving on this board, and appreciate the agency and the staff and all the good work that they do. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Mr. Merrill.
Yes, a couple things. One is I also wanted to recognize the incredible number of recognitions that the staff here at Community Transit get from other agencies and award ceremonies and recognition in that fashion. It's just, it's incredible the amount of quality that gets recognized for this agency. So thank you for that. Second part I wanted to talk about is the day that the new website went online. I used it to book a trip from the Snohomish High School to SeaTac Airport and back, and it was flawless, and it was so much better than what was before. So I enjoyed using that. Congratulations to everybody on that, and I'm delighted that there are things that we can do. I heard Mr. Abrams talk about the use of the website and the follow-up that we can do on that. So I thank you for that. The only remaining thing to do with that particular website is to find a way to manage accidents on Interstate 5 that slowed my return journey. So thank you.
Okay, Joe.
I just want to wish the new chair a great year. I know that you will do well. It is a little adjustment, juggling the papers and remembering to look up to see now this whole Zoom environment, you've got to always be looking, is there a comment up there? But you're going to do great. It's great to be part of an award-winning organization, and I'm always proud to say that I'm part of the Community Transit Board and representing you all out there as well. And I just want to say, you know, I just really appreciate Rick coming in and immediately in a tough environment and having to make some of those choices that not everybody always agrees with. In fact, even on this board, but we kind of hung together and got through it. And I think we're better coming out the other side. And I'm just glad that we are at a point where we can hire back people. It was tough. I certainly didn't agree with, you know, letting employees go that had been here for so long and dedicated so much of their life to this agency. And so I'm glad we've turned that corner. But I want to tell you, I just appreciate your leadership during that. So, and that's somebody calling to say what a great job you're doing, Rick. And I'll let him know. And then finally, it wouldn't be appropriate if I didn't end at least with a dad joke saying, so what makes Sweden so great? Does anybody know? I don't know either, but their flag's a big plus. So.
Their what?
Their flag.
Oh.
Think about that.
Okay. I think I need a drink.
Strike that from the record.
Oh. I gotta watch that, yeah.
I'd like to pass a resolution on dad jokes.
So Lance, did you have anything for us?
I have nothing, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay. Councilmember Mead, are you still with us?
Yep, I'm here, but nothing from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's it? Oh, I didn't remember we did that. Okay. Do we have any alternates that have something they'd like to say?
Well, this is Kelko. I'm here, but I have nothing to add. It was a good meeting. Thank you.
Okay, was there anyone else, Rachel? Okay. That's all I see. Okay, if that is everything and there's no executive session, the next regular board meeting is scheduled for April 6th at 3 p.m. And it's supposed to snow at 5 o'clock. Just so you know.